And I'm Frank Catterman here with my brother, Dr. Matt Catterman, and we're continuing our series on climate change.
So the main thing about the Paris Agreement is that, of course, we're supposed to prevent the rise in surface temperature between 1.5 to 2 degrees by achieving a state of what's called net zero. So like net zero is where you balance out your emissions, as a collective nation, as a world, or, as a place like California or businesses.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
So you said net zero, right? That's a term you hear a lot, right? What does exactly net zero mean?
Okay, so a definition here, it means the balance of greenhouse gases produced and the amount removed from the atmosphere. So you're balancing out what you're producing that's going into the atmosphere, but at the same time, you balance it out by reducing the emissions of greenhouse gases,
but also
preventing them from coming about.
But also you increase your carbon sinks or greenhouse gas sinks as well, right? So there's a way to balance it doing those things as well. And those are called offsets, I think, right?
Well, offsets are actually projects that companies do or project developers do to reduce the amount of greenhouse gas emissions happening. They can be doing like what you said. They could be taking them in, taking in the carbon dioxide and storing it, or removing it from the atmosphere. So they can be doing that too, as far as that. But it's basically an official project that you're doing. To kind of give you a definition of that, so offsets are credits earned by implementing a greenhouse gas reduction project. These offsets can be converted into carbon credits, which is about the same idea, but what you're doing is you're doing these projects and you're generating these offsets, and these offsets can be converted into carbon credits. And what a carbon credit is it's a permit or certification that allows companies or places to emit 1 ton of carbon dioxide equivalent emissions.
Right. And so an example of an offset could be somebody planting trees because they're carbon sinks, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, that's a very easy one to understand. Trees absorb carbon dioxide, and so we pollute carbon dioxide. So therefore, it balances it, it offsets it. So that's one easy one to relate to. So when a company like Amazon says, we're going to be net zero by 2050 or 2035 or whatever their goal is, right? They have these commercials that, doesn't mean that they're producing necessarily zero carbon emissions. It just means that their offsets and their credits are equal to that what they emit, so that therefore everything equals out to zero, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so.
But remember, the distinction is that different entities or project developers do these offsets, and they convert those offsets into credits, and those companies buy those credits.
And you can buy them. You may not have to do the credits yourselves or the offsets yourselves. You can buy them from some company that does them, right?
Right, yeah.
So Amazon may buy a whole bunch of them, that people are doing and claim, hey.
Disney does too.
Disney does too, yes.
Disney does the same thing.
All right, so now.
Well, we were going to bring up about how it works for the Paris Agreement. We have.
Right, but before we do that, people say carbon neutral, just for a real quick tidbit, carbon neutral is similar to net zero, but the only difference is one's based only on carbon and the other one's based on all greenhouse gases.
You can apply net zero to, multiple areas, like say if a company has like 10 different locations across the world, that would be like, they have to do a net zero collective effort, countries, among countries themselves, as all the countries together in the world would be a net zero effort, collective effort.
Right.
California itself, that's one huge state of thousands of businesses. That's a collective effort as a state.
Anyway, so what were we saying about the Paris agreements now?
Okay, so the Paris Agreement allow for carbon trading schemes to happen between countries. So this allows one country to emit more carbon emissions than other ones do.
Right.
So as long as they purchase the offsets through like a cap and trade system, a regulatory market or a voluntary market, as long as they're purchasing those offsets those credits to offset their emissions, then they're following the policies of the Paris Accord. So what do you think about a policy like that?
I don't know if you want to know what I think about that, but okay. Yeah. So I've traveled to 100 countries around the world, lived in many of them, for months at a time, years at a time. Okay, spend a lot of my time overseas. And a lot of people think, oh, the U.S. is corrupt. We've got corrupt politicians. Yeah, and that's all true. But compared to most other countries, we're like St. Nicholas, all right? So,
Okay.
I mean, I don't like the fact that if you take a country in, North Africa somewhere, and a country, in Europe somewhere, and Europe says, oh, well, I'm trying to get to net zero. Oh, hey, this country here in whatever, I don't want to pick on any one country, so I'm not going to, say, but, throw a dart at a map, okay, it's bound to be, some, country in the world that may be a third world country, and they're going to be a little bit more, how should I say, corrupt than other countries. And so there's a lot that has to do with...
That's a good point.
There's a lot that has to do with how much you can monitor this, okay? And if you don't monitor it correctly, then all you can do is, some guy pays somebody else off, hey, oh yeah, we're planting all these trees. Are they really planting those trees or not? I don't know, okay? So that's something that the UN probably doesn't have the manpower to monitor.